Good morning, everybody. Thank you for attending today's press conference that we have each Wednesday morning in the city of Columbus after our city council meetings to review and go over any of the issues or things that we took up at the council meeting. I also like to start with a few announcements of things going on in the city, and so I would like to do that first. First off, I'd like to say a special thank you to Sand Promotions, the Columbus Lounge Convention and Visitors Bureau, the Henry Armstrong Foundation, and members of the Henry Armstrong Committee here in Columbus for all their support for the inaugural Henry Armstrong Boxing Classic this past weekend at the Trotter Center. It was an excellent turnout. Mr. Armstrong is one of our most celebrated and recognized citizens from Columbus. Many of you know a world championship boxer that holds many titles, but also is known for his generosity and work after his career in working with young people. He became an ordained minister, and his legacy still lives on here in Columbus and in Los Angeles, where his grandson leads the foundation. We were thrilled to have the event here. Congratulations to those who participated, and we look forward to many more successful events like that. Coming up next week, and then continuing through the end of March and April, we'll have a lot of tourists visiting the Columbus area. We have two events going on starting on March the 16th through the 23rd. The historic tour of homes will begin in Columbus. This is primarily focused on 19th century homes in Columbus, which this group is led by the homeowners that own these houses in the city, primarily with assistance from the CVB. Those dates will be March the 16th through the 23rd. Then starting on March the 30th through April the 23rd on weekends, the Preservation Society of Columbus will have the Spring Pilgrimage and Jubilee of Homes, which there will be some 19th century homes on this tour as well, but there will also be homes from other time frames in Columbus. We're very blessed with a lot of different type of architecture here in the city. The Preservation Society's goal is to tell the entire history of Columbus. So they'll have a lot of lunch and learns during that time when you can hear about many different times during Columbus and all the history that has taken place, celebrating people from all walks of life. This group is also supported by the CVB. So we hope that there will be a good turnout for both events. We appreciate all the homeowners and volunteers who work with these groups, and this will be a rich history for a time for people to come and learn about our city, the good and the bad, and how we can use those things as we move forward together as one community. So we look forward to seeing folks and visiting our city during that time. Also, a reminder to folks that our kids will be out on spring break soon. If there are activities within the city that would be good for our students to and kids to participate in, please make them aware of that. If you were traveling away during that time, we wish y'all a safe vacation and back. We also hope that our teachers will get a much needed rest during that time so that we can get back to the business of teaching our students, there's nothing more important going on in our area than that. Also wanted to mention something that's come to my attention. I've had a lot of phone calls from individuals and messages about some animal control issues in the city and the county, and I want to tell people that we are looking into those issues that the city and county face. Animal control is very important to us, and we want to make sure that we are making sure that people are in compliance with the laws that are on the books for that, and also trying to help people with their pets to educate them on proper care, and making sure that this is going on out in the city and the county. I'm going to be meeting with officials from the city and the county next week to talk about the possibilities of improvements that we could have in that area. And I do appreciate the folks who have reached out to me, and there have been many of you. And you're welcome to continue to. I need to be aware of events so that we can try to address them. So I just wanted to get that word out to folks today too. And last but not least, I want to give a shout out to the Golden Triangle Link and the team there. Also our county officials and state officials who work so hard to bring Aluminum Dynamics to the Golden Triangle area in Lowndes County. I attended the groundbreaking yesterday, and it was quite impressive. We are very fortunate to have what we know is over a $2 billion investment, potential to create over 850 jobs with an average salary of $93,000, and many incentives that go along with that. That can have a great impact on our city. We are preparing to embrace that opportunity. And again, I just want to thank everybody who played a part in that, making that happen. These kinds of things don't happen overnight. It really, truly does take a team approach. And the more we can all work together on projects like this for the county and the city, and the entire Golden Triangle for that matter, the better we all are. So congratulations to them, and kudos on an excellent groundbreaking yesterday. Now, I think that's all I wanted to just talk about before we talk about a few of the issues that we looked at last night. We did have an executive session issue that I will let Jeff come up and speak on in a few minutes or a few seconds. The council did accept the 2020 audit. Last night, as y'all remember, it was presented to us at the last meeting in February, and then the council took the time between that meeting and this meeting to be able to review it and ask questions. And so we're very happy to have the 2020 audit behind us. As we mentioned last night, we are working diligently to correct all the findings that were in the audit. We are also moving forward on the 2021 audit, that we do feel like there will be some sightings in this one as well, as we're continuing to make the necessary changes in our financial area. I can tell you that everybody here at City Hall is totally committed to making this happen, and we'll keep everybody abreast of how we're going with that. We also, last night, voted to move forward on some drainage improvements in some areas that we've talked about before. Very pleased that we are preparing to make the type of adjustments that we need to in our flooding and watershed issues. You know, it's important that we all try to work on the same page for that, because we have a lot of citizens who have dealt with these issues for many, many, many years. And as I've said many times, we're in a unique opportunity right now where there is state and federal funding that can help us with these infrastructure issues that we've had to, because of finances locally in the past, kick that can down the road. So I'm glad that we are coming together to try to tackle those issues. I also want to thank, and I mentioned this earlier, we've talked about this before, but the city for quite some time has been working on an MDOT grant to improve the Fifth Street. I should know that avenue's going that way. Fifth Street, that's down by the Magnolia Bowl that goes towards 45. That area where the roads are very wide and not very pedestrian friendly. The city has been working to get an MDOT grant on that for quite some time. We were awarded, the city was awarded the grant last year, but then it was taken away because we didn't have an audit prepared at that time for them, and it probably would have been taken away anyway because of our 2020 audit. So what we did was we regrouped and worked with the county to have them to ask for the grant on our behalf, knowing that we will be the matching, we have the matching funds for the grant. We're excited to say that we did get this one. It's great timing for the development that's happening in that area of the city. With the redevelopment authority and recent purchases in that area, it's going to just really have a major improvement. And I know we've got roads in other areas that need the work as well too. Some of these grants are specific to certain things. But we're very pleased, and I know that Jay Fisher, as the CAO of the county, worked hard with us to get that grant. And so that's the kind of teamwork that I'm very much appreciative of, and I know everyone is. When the city and county are working together as one, it benefits the citizens the most. So I want to say a special thank you to the Board of Supervisors, the City Council, our COO, Jamie, and the CAO, Jay Fisher, for all their hard work on bringing that together, and I'm very excited about it. I will also mention too that we're in the process of setting up 2 dates to have town hall meetings about paving the streets in Columbus, which is a very important issue that we're continuously trying to tackle and find money to repair our streets. We have some streets that are in, I would say, dangerous in some ways because of the condition of them. This is not an issue that is unique to us. Trust me, Columbus, I know it feels like it is. I spent time between here and the Gulf Coast last week visiting my elderly mother in Ocean Springs, and all the cities between here and there have terrible road issues, all of them. Bumped all over all of them, and I specifically, Jamie, I look close when I go into cities now to compare them to ours. So this is an issue that we have all over the state, and the nation actually. Not making excuses, but it is a tough thing to maintain, especially when you're a city like ours that is 40% flood zone. As you heard our city engineer say last night, that standing water is the worst enemy of our streets. And so that's another reason I'm so passionate about trying to get the necessary work done for our watershed and flooding. We're already seeing damage to the streets that we just paved, which is not good. So I promise you, we are trying to tackle these issues. People will be glad to know also that we have been and continue to try to tackle that terrible road over by Chick-fil-A, which I would advise people to try to avoid it at all cost. That there's a section of that street that does not belong to the city. I think most people are aware of that. It is privately owned, has been for quite some time. We have been, and the owner actually lives in California. We have had numerous conversations with them, helping them find out what it's going to cost to fix that street, and it's a slow-moving process, unfortunately. We own part of that road, and the part that we own is actually in better condition than the part that the owners own. And that happened, I think, years ago when, if anybody remembers that, in that area now where Ross Dress for Less and whatever, I can't think of what else is in there, the PetSmart and Old Navy, that whole area, that used to be, years and years ago, that used to be Kmart, kind of up on the hill there. Do y'all remember that? I remember that actually in '87 when I moved here. So that street has been owned by the people who own that land, so when you have those types of sections within the city where you have private ownership of roads versus the city, sometimes you get what we have now, which is a mess. But we're pushing hard to try to get that fixed. Hopefully we'll be able to report more on that in the not too distant future. And again, we will be getting out to folks the dates for the town hall meetings about paving roads in the city. We have some money left over from the last paving, from the bond issues. We are not looking at getting a bond at this time for roads for various reasons. But we do have some other monies in our, which fund is that, Jim? The modernization fund that is earmarked for road improvements. What we will do is have the town hall meetings where we will look at the roads. What the city has done in the past, the most recent past, when they were working on the roads, is that they had let the city engineers assess the roads in the different wards. And then they would tell us, because they're the experts, which roads were in the most need of repair. The council members are able to look at the streets in their wards and make adjustments if necessary for priority. It is not an equal spread out of funds because the bad roads are not equal within all wards. So we all try to work together to make the best decisions for the citizens, and unfortunately in some wards there are roads that are higher, they're used more often than some, and so the condition of them is not great. But we're having these two town hall meetings because I think it's important for the citizens to give us input. Trust me, y'all do. We hear from you quite regularly on the roads, which I don't blame you. But we want people to be proactively talking to us about where we think these road repairs need to take place and how quickly. So more information on that coming soon. Let me run down the list here and see if there's anything. Oh boy, wow, I didn't think about this. Some of the best news last night was the city's decision to assist the Golden Triangle Regional Homeless Coalition with land to build the tiny homes program that they've been working on for many, many, many years, and the potential of having a warming and cooling station in that location area as well. It is back behind on property the city owns, which is behind the new fire station number 4, and in between where the Humane Society is. There's some land back there. And so it was, I can't believe I didn't lead with that. I've talked about this before. I think that people sometimes think that homelessness and issues like that are really happening only in the really large cities, but that's very much not true. We have a homeless issue in Columbus and Lowndes County, and this is not just people that you see lying on the streets or sleeping in vacant buildings and things like that. These are people that you pass every day on their way to work and stuff that are having struggles and are sofa surfing and all kinds of things that are going on. It has to do with illness and all kinds of things. And so we have had a dedicated group of people in the Golden Triangle Homeless Coalition that have been working nonstop trying to assess and help these individuals. And it's not always easy. The city is limited in the resources and the things that we can do. That's why it's important that we have nonprofits like that are focused on it. And it's always a win for everybody when there are ways that the city can come together with nonprofits, especially this one, in helping those in our community that need a hand up. I think this is, there are not a lot of these tiny home areas. The closest one that some council members could go and visit, and I appreciate everybody doing their due diligence on this to make sure we get it right, were very impressed in the one that they saw in Nashville. So I'm proud that Columbus I think will be a leader in this region on this type of thing, and I predict that there'll be people coming to visit us in the not too distant future to look at the success that we've had in this. So I cannot say thank you enough to the council, and also the members of the Homeless Coalition who have worked so very, very hard on this. And there'll be more good news coming out about that soon too. So with that, I'll take any questions that anybody might have for me.
Did you have to talk about?
Oh, that's right. GCMS yeah, that's right. Jim, will you come up and talk about that real quick? That's for we did vote last night to go ahead and do are we going to do a lease for a second GMS for the lab, for the drug lab. And I'm gonna let Jim speak on that for just a second so he can give you the details, which don't seem to be in my brain right now.
Well, we have been working at this for a while. The county, as a matter of fact, has been partnering with us on our crime lab. And they have just purchased some new lab equipment. And the city is making a similar purchase. Our approach to it is to do a 5-year lease. The total of that lease is a little over $152,000. It's a lot of very technical scientific equipment, which I have in most cases no clue what it does, but I know that it's expensive, and I know that we did some good work. We got a great discount on this. I want to commend our director in that area, Claudette Gilman. She did a great job negotiating this. I mean, our total discount on this is almost $73,000. So this is, and this what this will do is modernize the crime lab's ability to analyze different kinds of evidence to support prosecution of criminals in the area. So we're looking forward to getting that order made and signing a lease. The lease is for 5 years. It's revenue, actually a profit to the city, since we charge other cities and communities for processing their evidence, and this additional equipment will increase the flow through of those cases so that it'll actually pay for itself and bring revenue to the city as a revenue generator. So this is good all around. This is equipment that the equipment we have now is old and it's breaking down, and it needs to be replaced. And now with the county working with us in this partnership, our crime lab will be in excellent condition.
Yep. So, thank you, Jim. Yeah, and I want to thank Jamie too, our COO, Jamie Garrett, and Jim for working very closely with the crime lab and not only getting this worked out, but with the partnership that we have with the county. The crime lab is a shining star for the city. Something that we have that I think a lot of citizens do not realize that we have in the city, which helps us, it makes us unique, and it also hopefully, once we have it, the state-of-the-art equipment that we need and the staffing that we need, that will help us do this very important work in our city as far as assisting law enforcement with crimes that we need to solve and try to diminish. Jeff, will you come up and tell them about did we just have one issue? Yes. One issue in executive session last night.
Thank you, Mayor. Yeah, it was a real simple executive session, thankfully. We had the request by our chief of police to rehire a police officer that had been previously terminated, and the city council ultimately voted to table that to get more information about the officer's, rehabilitative work to make it possible for the officer to return.
Okay, well now with that, I will take any questions that the media that's here might have, or any questions online that Joe might see.
First question is, Mayor, what's the latest on the radios for the police department?
Well, I'm happy to say that the radios have been ordered, and in fact, I think we learned last night that they're trying to move them quickly to expedite. We had a good discussion again last night about the cost of the radios, the quality of the radios. We've been having this discussion for quite some time, and I think the decision was made that at this time, moving forward with the radios, what brand did we go with? Motorola is going to occur, and I'm at this point I'm just excited that we're going to have those radios that our police department has needed for quite some time, and I think it'll be beneficial to them and to our citizens. But let me say this, and I did say it at the council meeting last night. I was proud that the council is looking closely at how we spend our dollars on equipment. We need to do our due diligence. I'm a big proponent of any time that we can purchase things from a local vendor. I would like to see that happen, obviously, because that's good for Columbus. We're not always going to agree on, what is the best decision when we're purchasing equipment and things like that. But I also am someone who believes that it's okay to debate it, to discuss it more than once if you need to. And I think that's what we did. And now we've made a solid decision and we have radios on the way, and I'm very pleased about that.
All right, Mayor, big question. Task force. Has the chief came before the council and said he wanted to pull out of the task force, or has he said anything about the task force to the council?
The task force. Yeah, I was out of town when a lot of this was happening last week. And I appreciate, by the way, all the thoughts and prayers and kind words that people have said to me. My 92-year-old mother, who we're all originally from Laurel, she had lived in town with us for quite some time, is now in an assisted living facility in Ocean Springs where my brother lives. And as I was joking with them earlier, she and I always still talk about it. At 92, she quotes Betty Davis, "Getting old ain't for sissies." And so she's been having some health issues and continues to, and it's difficult for her sons. So we appreciate the ongoing prayers and thoughts. The task force. I am a big proponent of not duplicating services and the city and county working together as much as possible. There's been a lot in the media about this. Here's what I will tell you. I continue to try to keep the lines of communication open with the county so that we can have a sit-down discussion about what is best for the police department, the sheriff's department, the citizens of the city and the county. Even before Chief Dawkins arrived, there have been some concerns with the task force agreement, the interlocal agreement. That agreement was signed prior to me and prior to the full council that we have sitting now. I have often said that we're always good to review these documents. There have been, again, even before Chief Daughtry got here, we've had discussions about, things that we needed to look at, because there were some concerns even before his time here. When Chief Daughtry came, we began having those conversations with him. He has I can't speak to everybody on the council that he's talked to about. I can speak to my conversations with him. I was in agreement with him that there were some things we probably needed to look at. He was keeping me informed that he was talking to the sheriff about some of the issues. Some of the big things that we had were the overtime that we're dealing with. And there were some other areas within the agreement that we needed to look at. My comments to him, and he did say at his press conference that I was aware, my comments to him on this, and let's be clear, the chief of police runs the police department. The mayor and the council do not need to be in the middle of the day-to-day activities. However, the mayor and council oversee the functions of the city. The mayor specifically, the day-to-day activities. When the chief and I were talking about this, I was very clear in that I wanted us to, I understood the concerns, but I felt it was important that we had a meeting with myself, the president of the Board of Supervisors, the two attorneys from the city and the county, and he and the sheriff. I was a little surprised that it moved the way that it did. I do support the chief's decisions. I know he's got a lot on his plate down there. And again, I don't run the day-to-day activities of the police department, nor should I, nor will I try. When this happened, I reached out to the president of the Board of Supervisors and requested that we try to sit down and meet, especially when I got back, that I was hoping for everybody to kind of take a deep breath and let's put this on pause before we start sending back, 90-day notices and that kind of thing. but I don't run the Board of Supervisors, nor do I run the Sheriff's Department. So I don't know all the details that were going on inside those areas. All I can do is speak for me. I was trying to have a meeting so that we could talk about it. I still am hoping to have a meeting. I have sat down face-to-face with the President of the Board of Supervisors this week, and we've had talks about it. I'm not angry or upset with anybody. You know, these are difficult decisions that need to be made. I am just somebody who likes to have face-to-face conversations. There's a lot of rumor and been great stories for y'all. You know, great headline, very creative headline yesterday. Up in Smoke, Cheech and Chong reference. That was pretty good. That made me laugh. And you know, I can't be angry at anybody on this because I think everybody was trying to do the right thing. And I see both sides of it. What I always hope is that we can, even when we're not happy with one another or we have differences of opinion, I think if we can sit down and have discussions to work through these before announcements are made, press conferences are held, comments in the newspaper, speculation, you know, but you know, I'm not going to be critical of any supervisor or any council member of anything they said because these are difficult issues, and I'm going to continue to do everything I can to make sure we have a very good relationship with the city and the county for the benefit of our citizens. So that's my answer.
Mayor, there's a question sent in about the paving. Is the paving, the next round of paving, does it come from the internet sales tax that the city's been getting? Is that where it comes from?
That and a portion of money that was left over from the bond. Do you remember how much that was? About $400,000 that was left over from the last paving we just finished when? Last summer? 2020. Yeah.
And do you anticipate the next round of paving will be this summer? I mean, is it too early to say that?
Ooh, I don't want to get too far out. Jamie?
He said it depends on the weather and how soon we can get these town halls out.
Yeah, that was our COO, Jamie Garrett. She's been talking to our city engineer about it, and it really depends on the weather and how quickly we can have these town halls and get consensus with the council. But our goal is to move as quickly as possible.
Do you have any, this was last question on this, is it too early to know how much money would be getting this year from the internet sales tax to go towards paving?
Do we know how much we have to go towards that, Jim, at this point?
We will get, it appears that we'll get slightly over $2 million.
Wow.
Slightly over 2 million. You know, and let me say this while we're on these questions. One of the things that we've talked about, and Jamie and Jim and I meet every Thursday to talk about the city's finances and what, you know, the activities of the city, what we're doing. And the three of us are very committed to trying to find ways to build capital funds for the city. In other words, having some type of savings that we're building towards these types of infrastructure issues that we face in the ground, on the streets, in our buildings. And so we're very committed to trying to find ways to build those funds so that we have, you know, money to address these issues, and that we're not getting bonds that, you know, that are going to outlive the work that we do. So I want to assure everybody that we think about this every day and are trying to be the best stewards possible.
A follow-up question was, somebody had sent in a comment that they saw a road that was recently paved that was now messed up.
That's not funny. I mean, but yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
And so the question was, are there different grades of roads, or is it just a drainage problem, or what?
All the above.
Okay.
Quality of work too was an issue with the folks that did the paving for us. We are still going back, working on things that weren't done as well as they should have been. And I'm talking about the group out of Laurel that did the actual paving. That's what I'm talking about. They were the low bid on that. That was, you know, prior to this administration. You know, generally you have to go with the low bids on that type of thing unless you can prove a reason why you shouldn't. And everybody well remembers that there was a lot of issues during that time. Yeah, we're still dealing with some of those. And again, we've had heavy rains too. And as you know, our city engineer said last night, that's not a friend of the streets.
And is the town hall meeting meant to let people come and basically express a
Yes,
complaint or concern about?
bring their photographs, bring their, you know, it'll be an opportunity for them to see what roads we have put on the list of high priority. It'll be a time for them to come and review that, ask questions about how we determine that, and then bring photos or whatever they have about streets that they have major concerns about, and to voice their concerns and thoughts about it. Yes.
Well, since you've got 2 million available coming up, the last paving project was 5.5, wasn't it, Jim? 5.5
About
million?
5.5 million, yeah.
So 2 million plus what's left over should be a pretty
Just
significant.
under 3 million is what we're talking about right
So
now.
it's a pretty significant amount for paving again.
Mhm.
Okay, that's the only question.
If we decide to use all that money for paving, it can also be used for stormwater and flooding and stuff like that, but yeah. And it can be used to retire debt towards the bond that so that's another thing that citizens can weigh in on as to how we use it. You know, these are not, I know many times they seem like easy things to try to tackle and correct, but our funding sources have restrictions on them. There's only certain funds we can use for certain things. We have, you know, debts that we're trying to maintain. We're also trying to find ways to build capital funds. So we're juggling a lot, but the safety of our roads has to be a top priority. And again, I would just say that, you know, this is an issue that all cities and counties face. And many times what we're doing with these roads, and some of the roads that the city has taken over during annexation and stuff, were roads that weren't properly built in the first place. So then you're paving on top of that, and then it's just a compound problem. And then I can't say enough the fact that 40% of our city is in a flood zone. Hello, potholes, right?
The MDOT grant that y'all collaborated with the county board of supervisors on, what was that total grant amount?
Ooh. Do you remember? I'll have to get that for you. It's on the tip of my tongue, but I don't want to say it because it could be wrong, but it's significant. Over $1 million, right? Well over $1 million. 5 million? I was thinking 3, but somewhere in that range. But we'll find it for sure.
How much matching money is the city having to put into that, and where's it?
Is it 20%?
I think it is.
And it's from the, I earmarked it before we went for the grant.
Modernization.
Probably modernization fund, yeah.
As far as the tiny houses go, do you guys have any kind of idea when work's gonna get started out there?
I'm not sure. I know they're going to try to do it as quickly as possible. There's got to be some prep work of the property before they can build. That is at no cost to the city. That has all been going to happen from volunteers, professionals in those areas that are going to help prepare the land for the houses. I think that Sandra DePriest told me that, Reverend DePriest, that there's already one house or 2 houses that they have. They'll also have to work with Mr. Kinney to make sure that they're up to standards of the city. But there's a lot of excitement about this, so I would predict, weather permitting, that they will try to get started sooner rather than later.
Survey and then deed.
Survey and deed, yeah, we got some of those. Thank you, yeah.
Has that surveying work been done?
No.
And about how long do you think that will take?
Neil Schaefer has agreed to do it pro bono, and whenever I've asked him to do surveys for me,
They're pretty good.
prompt.
Very
It's
prompt.
only 2 acres, and so I would figure within 2 weeks or so, probably.
But Neil Schaefer has been, and Kevin has been, they have been working with the Homeless Coalition for a while on looking at that land and doing it all pro bono, trying to help them with this. So they're very knowledgeable of that area. And so I would not anticipate that it would take long.
You said that some of the council members went to Nashville to look at a place. How much of the council went?
It was two members. It was Councilman, it was Vice Mayor Mickens, this area is in his ward, and then Councilman Beard attended with him because his ward, they had looked at an area in his ward that didn't work out. He was very interested in seeing something like this happen in the community, so they both went to look at it, ask questions, and that kind of thing. So just the two of them.
That's all I got.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Thanks, everybody.